Hello everyone, I'm Grandmaster Kevin Goh from Singapore, and uh, just very early this morning, I announced what is uh, my close friends and me. We came up with the initiative to do a charity drive for families who are stricken, uh, families who are deeply affected due to COVID-19, and as such, we are going to be doing a series of events from now. Every single weekend, there will be something for the chess community in Singapore. So today we are very happy to have an exhibition, a simultaneous match by Ethan Poe, who is our one of our best young players, National Schools Under 14 champion. Yeah, the match is already underway. So just a brief description about him. I think his rating is about 2100, so definitely he's a good player, and he likes classical music and electronic music, um, which honestly, to a old fogey like me, I have no idea what that meant. So if anybody wants to explain that, that would be very helpful. Yeah, so I think the games are underway, and let's get down to it. Okay, I need to do some adjustments to the board. So let's make our faces smaller. Yeah, if anybody has problems with the stream, if a certain piece is being cut off, just let me know and I'll do adjustments. So this is a Scotch, and yeah, the Scotch is one of Ethan's favorite openings, and it's also one of my main lines against e4 e5 as well. So typically the line goes, yeah, after knight takes d4, there's knight f6, which leads to sharp positions generally, and there's bishop c5, which is kind of more solid and classical. So I'm interested to know what's going to happen in this game. I'm quite certain that there's going to be a fair number of e4 e5s, as you can see. Yeah, I'm just going to let the games run its course for a while before I get down to it. So for any of you who are watching, whether you are a chess player, um, whether you are a serious chess player, a recreation player, a chess parent, and if you're interested to know more about this charity drive, uh, do reach out to me and I'll be very happy to get in touch. So we are putting together a list of frequently answered questions, and there is possibility of building a website by Monday. So obviously that has to come from uh, some very generous people who are volunteering their time to put this up for us. And as it stands, I'm very glad to share that at the top left hand corner of the screen, you can see that we are currently at 11,000. So thanks to many generous chess players who felt that this is a worthy contribution. So I really implore the chess community to see, within your means, if you think you can contribute to these stricken families. I should also add that all these donations will be eligible for tax deductions. The organizations that we will be donating to are of IPC status, and I will need some of your personal details in order to submit to electronically to IRAS. So that's something that of course we also deal with very carefully, because these are personal data, and we are very careful about the PDPA. So for those who are not aware, PDPA means Personal Data Protection Act, and and we'll be very careful not to limit access to this personal data. So I think there are some games going on quite quickly. I see Arno Perestein. I think that's that's a name from cartoon, according to my co-commentator in the previous Simul. KC Ko, KC Ko. If I'm not wrong, that's the infamous Bernadette Kong, who's an Arsenal fan, and I should educate her on the right sports team to support the next time I see her. Yeah, so the games are still in progress. Let's just wait to for a few more moves before we start uh, going deeply into the games. I see somebody has blundered a piece. Yeah, maybe this is a good time to go into this, because yeah, this is a very unfortunate opening blunder, which actually I learned this when I was a kid. So um, let's get a name to this. Nick, the I don't know what this means exactly, but if I translate this to Chinese, then it means Nick the 大头, big head. I have no idea if that's what his intention is, but yeah, anybody who wants to help by telling me who this guy is. So after knight f3, d6, c3 is an interesting little move that many some grandmasters like to play, at least. So the whole point is, after knight f6, they go bishop e2, and there are a couple of ways to treat this position. So for instance, if black goes knight to c6, white can go d4. Yeah, cd4, cd4, knight takes e4, d5, queen a5 check, knight to c3. Just give me a second, let me turn off my WhatsApp. Yeah, that was a bit distracting. Apologies for that. Yep. Okay. So knight c3, knight takes c3, b takes c3, knight to e5. So this is a sacrificial approach that I used to play when I was much younger. I think the line goes knight takes e5, queen takes c3, bishop d2, queen takes e5, short castle, queen takes d5, and bishop f3. So this is a line that one of our best national players, Mr. Ostrich Mui, who has since retired. He likes to play aggressive hacker type of lines, and this is one of his favorites. So white is 3 pawns down, but he has a lot of activity to compensate for that. There are things like queen a4 check, maybe rook to b1, rook to e1, and black will take a bit of time before he can fully develop his pieces. So this is the kind of the sharper approach that some players have played. So the safer line to kind of sidestep this is to go with the very clever bishop d7. And now black is really threatening to take knight takes e4. Now d4, black can safely capture on e4, and there's no real tactics involved with queen a4 check anymore. So instead, after bishop d7, white goes d3, Black goes knight to c6. White goes castles. Yeah, now black goes g6. Knight b d2, bishop g7, rook e1. Castles. Yeah, bishop f1. So the whole point of this very very slow setup is that white wants to eventually go d2, d3 to d4, and staking a claim in the center, getting more space, and kind of restrict black's Sicilian piece placement. And as such, black really needs to know what he's doing. And over here, I believe the move bishop g4 is extremely important. And the point being that this move stops d3 to d4 easily, and white has to go h3, bishop f3, knight takes f3, and yeah, I think now black goes e6 with complex play. So the idea of going yeah, d4 takes, and at some point you go d5. But maybe not, because this seems to lead to a slightly better position for white. Ah, I see. No. Sorry. So bishop g4 leads to a better position for white because of this reason. Yeah, I kind of got mixed up over this. So yeah, now I remember the absolutely critical move in this position is to go knight to e5, of course. Yep, and the point being that black is slightly cramped and he wants to exchange pieces. So if white goes d4, knight takes f3, knight takes f3, and you can choose to play c takes d4, or you can choose to wait for a couple of moves like rook c8 or queen a5. But I think in theory this position is extremely acceptable for black. But instead I think black fell into a typical opening trick, and this loses the piece due to queen a4 check and queen takes e4. So for all intents and purposes the game is over. But yeah, so this is how you kind of understand the opening phase. Every single move, there's a certain meaning to every single move in the opening. So bishop d7 is would demonstrate clear opening understanding, and that somebody has that you have studied this line before. If not, you could easily end up in trouble. The really important move is knight to e5 in this instance. And the point is, even though you get doubled pawns, this pawn becomes backward pawn. It's going to be very difficult for him to get rid of this by means of playing d3 to d4 without activating the dark square bishop for black. So yeah, so that's my very brief overview of this line. I see there's a game that's ended. Wait, what? Oh man. Lian Kiddos. What happened, Lian Kiddos? Just do a cut. Yeah, one thing that can happen very often is that Ethan has gone off screen. I don't know why. If one of the viewers can help to just send him a text to tell him that his video. Okay, now he's back. Yeah, so something has clearly gone wrong in the opening. Knight c3, knight f6. So this is called the four knights, and it can transpose to the Scotch if he goes d4, takes, bishop b4, which is known to be very solid for black, but white has some chances for a small edge. Or he can go bishop b5. So a very common tactic that, or I would say opening inaccuracy, is that very often white goes bishop c4. I remember when I learned this trick when I was a kid, that this move is in this particular position is not good because of knight takes e4. And this kind of let me just turn off the engine so that yeah. So after knight takes e4, black gets an extremely comfortable position, and some lines that can continue would be okay. So for example, you can go bishop f7 and displace the king. So maybe you have learned from your coach that it's very important to be able to castle early in the game, but in this particular position, black gets a very strong center with the two center pawns, and he has a bishop pair, which means that he has a permanent long-term advantage. And a move like knight e5, king g8 will just makes matter worse, because now h3, black threatening e5 to e4, and the knight cannot really go to h3 without getting into some serious troubles with the pawn structure over there. So another line that can continue would be, say, knight takes e4, black goes d5, and bishop b5, d4, knight e5, and this is also quite bad for white. I believe queen to d5 is already gives black a very serious advantage. Yeah, so bishop c4 is a mistake. There's a quirky gambit called no, I don't know what it's called, but I just know that sometimes white goes castle, knight takes c3, d takes c3, and now there are some tricky lines associated with queen to d5 attacking the weak spot f7. White is trying to go rook e1 as well, maybe bishop g5, maybe knight g5. So this is called the what? The Boden Gambit. Yeah. So if you play e4, e5 with black, it's extremely important to know all these side variations. And over here, I believe the most accurate move, the most precise way to hold off white's initiative is to go f7, f6. There are some details to be known here, but which I will not go into. But I believe that black is doing very well here from a theoretical perspective. So that's a very brief overview of bishop c4. I will need to try to remember everything that I said in stream so that I don't repeat this. If you miss out on this, and I don't and I make in the future I make references to this stream, then if you have missed it, that's just too bad, because I cannot be repeating these things over and over again. It kind of gets boring after a while for me as well. So sorry, that's my mom calling me. Give me a second. I need to answer this call. Just 1 second. Okay, and I'm back. Very sorry about that. So she hung up on me, and now she's not answering. So probably she's mad at me. But I suspect that she has seen the article that was published in Straits Times in the sports section. So if you have missed it, please go and check it out. If you don't want to leave your house, check it out online. If it says premium, please subscribe. Or ask somebody for a print screen or whatever. Yep, so that's my slight detour of bishop c4. Yep, so bishop b5 was played in the game. Black went bishop b4, which is the classical way of dealing with the four knights. I think they call this a four knight Spanish castles. Yeah, I'm honestly not very familiar with the specifics in this line, but I suspect castling is probably a normal move. And here I think generally black goes Jack follows whatever white is doing. I think he goes castles. D3, D6. Yeah, and I think white goes, if I'm not wrong, yeah, at some point white wants to go knight to e2 to g3 and claim that he's a little bit better because he's one move up in the Italian kind of position. But I'm trying to figure out how exactly to make this happen, because knight e2, there's bishop g4, knight g3, and there's knight d4, and there's going to be some permanent pawn damage, pawn structure damage on the king side. So the resident expert on 1e4 e5 lines, Junior Tay, might be able to explain a little bit more about this. He's a bigger expert than me in all 1e4 e5 matters. Yeah, but what you don't want to be doing is to go pawn hunting, and yeah, this looks extremely risky, even though these days a lot depends on how concrete bishop g5, bishop c3, and queen e7. Ah, yes. No, but that's the old main line. I think these days they are trying to maneuver the knight to e2. But okay, yeah, this looks very this looks extremely risky, because after the move that the white played, sorry, bc3, knight takes e4, queen e1. Yeah, I think that I don't know if d6 was a mouse slip, because it's just so hard to imagine that black really played this after playing the opening quite well. So d6, knight takes c6 just loses on the spot. What happens after short castle? I didn't actually think that this is that horrible for black. I mean, it's hard to say really. I think that white should be doing alright, but his pawn structure is still quite sound. He's going to go d6 eventually. Yeah, I'm actually not very sure that this position is all that bad. So for instance, after d4, rook to e8, I guess. Yeah, I don't think this is all that bad. So I don't know if d6 was a mouse slip, and if it is, it's extremely unfortunate. Yeah, but this could have been a good fight in the offering. So very unfortunate blunder by our friend Lian Kidos. So that's one game down. Let's look at any exciting lines that we can check. So this game is still in its infancy, so let's look at some complicated middle game. Let's look at this one. This looks like a typical kingside hack that Ethan enjoys so much. He loves to attack, and yeah, this is his trademark attacking approach. So let's check this against Amos I double E. I don't know if that's supposed to mean Amos E. So okay, it started with knight c3, a quirky little move, but normally it transposes to some main line anyways. So for instance, if black goes c5, you go e4, and it's a close Sicilian. If black goes e5, he goes e4, and it's a Vienna game. And in this game, black went d6, and after e4 it becomes like a Pierce. So, and the Pierce defense starts with after 1 e4, black goes d6, d4, knight f6, and after knight c3 it transposes to the game as seen here. So this is actually the same position. So g6 was played, and yeah, this is called the Pierce, and there are many ways for white to play against this line. It's slightly provocative, but I think that it is extremely sound. I think Magnus himself has played this line many times. So the most aggressive approach is to go f4, followed by knight to f3, at some point maybe e5, bishop d3. So one of my favorite lines continues like this: castles, e5, knight fd7, and now you can go h4, or you can go, yeah, you go h4, and black's black is at risk of getting overrun on the king side, because if I manage to open the h file and I go queen e2, queen f2, queen h4, and just very brutal caveman style on black, he just loses without a fight. So black has to counter attack on the kings in the center to distract white's forces. So c5 is a good move, and here my favorite move is e6, softening up the very solid f7 g6 h7 pawn structure on the